Stop what you're doing right now. Get your sweaty hands off that buy button. Oh, but it has the new looking camera. No, you are not buying that. I've got a little secret for you. Come closer. I think I just found the perfect iPhone. So let me get one thing straight. I don't like iPhones, so the only logical thing was to go and buy one, and this is it. This is the iPhone that you should buy. I've made a lot of iPhone videos over this year, and every video I've always said that something is missing, like magnetic wireless charging or USB-C or just the fact that it's old. But this iPhone 15 Pro actually legit makes more sense than almost any other iPhone. The other day I was playing cards with my toaster when I realized that I accidentally left my S25 Ultra inside. I guess I just forgot to plug it in. And when I took it out, I realized how incredibly heavy this phone is. Now this would have made a lot more sense if I had a 17 Pro Max, but I'm simply not capable of owning every single phone that there is. Now what I'm trying to say is that the 15 Pro is actually one of the lightest Pro iPhones ever made. This took me like 10 minutes, so please let me yap so it feels like it was worth the time. But as you can see, the 13 Pro and the 14 Pro were really heavy, and then the 15 Pro jumped on this keto diet and suddenly dropped a bunch of weight. And then the 16 Pro, especially the 17 Pro, have evidently relapsed and got fat again. Now you may think I'm going crazy over a 20-gram difference, but trust me, when you use something heavier side by side, you start appreciating every single gram. Now of course the base models are even lighter, but come on, this has 3 cameras, 120Hz and a titanium frame. I've just given you way too much information, so let's slow down and savor all the specs. You may be thinking, is this phone already outdated and too slow? And let me just remind you something. When this phone came out, they showcased a demo where this phone was running Resident Evil Village, a full-size console game, just to prove how powerful this phone is. So I downloaded a different Resident Evil so that I would have an excuse to play something for half an hour. So if this can play console games, then how could you possibly need more power? Especially if you just scroll all day. Titanium does sound a lot cooler than some aluminium that's on all the base models and now on the Pro models as well. But honestly, side by side, touching aluminium, you can tell that titanium feels a bit more premium, but most importantly, it is way more durable. I saw this post where someone showed their 15 Pro from launch day, which is 2 years ago, and the phone still looks like it's brand new. And can we just glaze the design for a second, because this is probably like the prettiest phone I have ever touched. Maybe the phone from the last video is a close contestant, but this is gorgeous. And just like me, you're probably also gonna wanna touch this phone all day with your greasy fingers, so you're probably not even gonna buy a case. And I'm not even the only person glazing this. Have a look at this. 15 Pro is the most compact and durable iPhone ever. My opinion. Went from 13 to 15 to 17. 15 most durable, best in hand feel too. That's why I'm not using a case since day one. It just looks and feels beautiful. People love this phone. But it also has a little problem. Apparently this phone overheats and turns into a literal lava brick. That sounds very concerning. But I played 30 minutes of Resident Evil 2 and I can confirm that I have no permanent damage on my skin. In fact, it didn't even get that warm. Not like this footage shows you anything anyway, but it didn't burn my hand. But if it wasn't a problem, then there wouldn't be so many people complaining about it, and maybe I didn't have this problem because I didn't spend enough time outside in the sun. And that probably explains it. Now you might say that the newest iPhone has a much bigger battery, and thank you for pointing that out, and in fact that's a much bigger battery. Damn, okay. But I have a very delusional way of defending this phone. When you have a massive battery, I feel like that actually motivates you to use your phone more. When they say stuff like, oh, this phone has a 2-day battery life, it almost feels like you want to prove them wrong and just scroll Reddit for like 16 hours a day just to kill it in one day. Or you purposely forget to charge it before bed and then be like, oh look, but it lasted 2 days. Or you could just plug it in. But having a little ant-sized battery makes you a little bit more careful and makes you scroll a bit less. It's not like the battery is bad, it still survives the whole day, but every time I buy a used iPhone, I keep gambling, because this one, for example, has 90% battery health, so that means I have to limit all my scrolling sessions to 5 hours a day. What a shame. The biggest reason why I think this iPhone is actually the GOAT is because of that USB-C port. Every iPhone before this one used to have an old and crappy lightning port, and I've made so many jokes on my channel, but in case you haven't seen them, let me speedrun this. I have like 5 USB-C cables by my bed, my power banks are USB-C, my accessories are USB-C, but most importantly, you haven't subscribed yet, so please do that and help me reach 100 billion subscribers. So please do that. Basically, having USB-C is very convenient, and you might say, oh, but the base 15 has a USB-C, and to that I'm gonna say, but the Pro model has so many cool features, and why am I pretending like someone's talking to me? One of these cool features is this action button, which means you can turn on the flashlight with a button. How exciting. The iPhone 14 Pro noobs can only dream of that. Okay, but the actual biggest reason to buy the Pro model is the 120Hz. Now, there is a rare breed of people like your mum or these strange people on Reddit that don't even see a difference, which I thought was crazy until I saw this comment. Please get your eyes checked. I personally wouldn't say something like that, but I'm also not going to disagree. It's not the end of the world not to have 120Hz, but if you're coming from an older iPhone, that alone is like enough to feel like you've just got the newest iPhone. But at the same time, you wouldn't really know what you're missing out on. But then what about these cameras? How much has Apple improved in the last 2 years? And when I checked online, I was actually shocked because the main camera and the ultra-wide camera has not changed at all. That means that most of the time, your photos and videos are gonna look almost the same compared to the newest 17 Pro. And speaking of those cameras, this iPhone has a feature which makes it better than like most other iPhones, and that is called log. I'm gonna try not to yap about this too much because I know some of you are not even gonna care, but basically you can record a flat video which after editing has better colors and most importantly removes a bunch of this over sharpening and over processing. So you can go from a video that looks like this to footage that looks like this. As you can see, it looks way more natural now, and I bet that transition was so cool. As someone who likes recording photos, as someone who likes recording videos, this is the iPhone that I could downgrade to and actually settle for because it doesn't really feel like I'm missing anything. It still feels pro. Yes, the newest iPhone has RAW video, but you're probably not gonna use that. And it also has a square selfie camera, which is such a good idea, but it's like the only thing that I would upgrade for, and that's just not worth it for me. But if you can overcome your lust for selfies, this camera is so sick. Like, I'm recording in log right now. Look how good this looks. I think. I haven't seen the footage yet. And none of this would make sense unless I explained why nothing else makes sense to buy. And by that, I mean the price. Right now on eBay, you can find the base 15 Pro for around $450, which last time I checked is a little bit less than $1,100. Yes, the base iPhone 17 also has 120Hz and USB-C and a much bigger battery, but that phone is like $800, so for the price alone, that instantly disqualifies it. And the mistake that some people will do is actually consider the iPhone 17e. Now, to be fair, it's gonna have like 2 years of extra support, but apart from that, it's just a worse phone. It only has one camera, it's 60Hz, no pro camera features like log, it has a notch, and a bunch of other things that I'm not even gonna explain. And the only advantage that it has is that it's newer? I think this phone is proof that buying something used that's older makes a lot more sense than buying something brand new that's cheap. And yes, I guess you could buy the iPhone 13 for like under 200 and be completely happy with it, but there's actual cool features that you're missing out, whereas this feels like a complete package. This genuinely feels like a phone that I could downgrade to and just chuck my S25 Ultra in the bin. So the only bad thing that I can think of is the battery, which isn't even that bad, and the thermals, which again, wasn't even that bad. But if that's what it takes to have such a nice premium feeling iPhone that's so light and small, has so many cool pro features and sick cameras, and costs half as much as the 17 Pro, I would take this any day over any other iPhone.